Hey y'all, I'm Andrew the Vine here with True Vine Music Group. So today we have a track from Torix. He was very kind to allow us to mix this track today, and we're going to be talking all about how to prepare a mix for a mastering engineer or to master it yourself, just the things to watch out for. So this is basically what it sounded like. I just returned everything to the default. This is what the session track sounded like. He organized it really nicely. So, we have groups with some claps, FX, kicks, snares, vocals, all that. So this is basically what the track sounds like right now, and we're going to take a look at the faders and see where stuff is peaking, and then pretty much the first thing we're going to do is to start gain staging and maybe adjusting the levels a bit. So let's just take a quick listen. Track is awesome. I mean, really incredible track. I know this one's going to blow up for real.
But you still run away, break hearts, save the day, restart. Be the way so dark, can't you see what's going on? You just lie so long, can't deny you're wrong. Feeling I all gone, I just wanna go alone. I'm just trying to prove that I'm the best. I don't do it for the money, for the cars, or for the checks. I got way too many people trying to put me through the test. I'm just feeling really good about myself without the rest. What you saying, what you saying, what you feeling?
Okay, so the first thing that's really obvious, and we're just going to cut it here, is that we're clipping really hard almost the entire song. So first thing we're going to do is gain stage, and a trick that I like to do, because we're going to want to end the mix with headroom for the mastering later. So I tend to boost this all the way up, and then I try to avoid clipping even with the master signal boosted. So this should give us a much cleaner signal. In fact, we'll even drop this a little bit more just to give us more room to work with as we level. And that way when we drop this back down here, we have a nice amount of headroom to go into mastering with. So we're going to keep mixing this track, Lost Control by Torix, and this is a awesome one. So let's hear how it sounds now that we're not clipping. The signal should come through a bit crisper.
But you still run away, break hearts, save the day, restart. Be the way so dark, can't you see what's going on? You just lie so long, can't deny you're wrong. Feeling I all gone, I just wanna go alone. I'm just trying to prove that I'm the best. I don't do it for the money, for the cars, or for the checks. I got way too many people trying to put me through the test. I'm just feeling really good about myself without the rest. What you saying, what you saying, what you feeling? Coming back home slowly. What you saying, what you saying, what you feeling? So baby, let me know how I lost control.
Okay, so that drop hit super nice. It looks like I already put some reverb on here, just a little bit of reverb send on the vocals and synths, and that's from RC48 by Native Instruments. Fat synth preset, adjusted it a little bit, and that's basically, just add a little bit of space to the mix. I think we can even put a little bit on these perks, snares, FX. We'll probably just glue the mix together a little bit. There's already some reverb in the signal chain that I can hear, but just kind of get it fitting together here in RDAW from these track outs. So that will make a difference. Now, basically, when it comes to mixing, especially for preparing for mastering, Torix already mixed this very well. All the sounds are really nice and characteristic. So I don't think we have to do too much with the sounds. We'll maybe compress a little bit to add some dynamics and control the dynamics. But if you remember from the first video, we were looking at this U-lean loudness meter, and basically what we want to do is make sure that we have space in the true peak and that our LUFs are hitting low enough that we can bring them up. It's going to be better to master upwards than to try and master downwards. So we're going to adjust this to about 3-4 minutes, just so we can hear what's going on. And let's take a look at where the song is hitting generally. We'll jump right here into the chorus just to get, or at least this first verse, to get kind of a better picture of it and listen through the drop.
You just lie so long, can't deny you're wrong. Feeling I all gone, I just wanna go alone. I'm just trying to prove that I'm the best. I don't do it for the money, for the cars, or for the checks. I got way too many people trying to put me through the test. I'm just feeling really good about myself without the rest. What you saying, what you saying, what you feeling? Coming back home, coming back
Okay, so we have some pretty solid action here in terms of the dynamics. Like, it's both dynamic in the short term where we have, good average LUFS dynamics here to work with, as well as, a pretty striking difference between the integrated LUFS and the momentary LUFS, which really shows that the drop is hitting about 3 decibels harder than the rest of the song, which is excellent. So that's like basically showing our levels are good. All we really had to do is drop these faders, right? Now listening to it, I kind of want the kick to hit a bit harder, so I'm gonna boost this kick group here, which has a couple kicks in it. Just boost it a little bit, and I had actually meant to do this to the snare, so we're gonna drag this over here, keep the kicks at the front. A lot of EDM is really focused on sidechaining around the kick, so we're gonna do that. With the synths, we're going to sidechain the synths to the kick. I think everything else should really be able to poke through a bit more, but just kind of a nice pumping effect on the synths will be nice. These kicks to hit harder, right? So we're going to just raise the volume here. I boosted it up a little bit off camera, and we will now listen to it. You'll hear the kick hits a bit harder, and also I want to enhance this sidechain track that Torix sent, so we're gonna actually let this clip a little bit to kind of get some of that distortion out of it. Should sound nice.
But you still run away, break hearts, save the day, restart. Feel the way so dark, can't you see what's going on? You just lie so long, can't deny you're wrong. Feeling I all gone, I just wanna go alone. I'm just trying to prove that I'm the best. I don't do it for the money, for the cause, or for the check. I got way too many people trying to put me through the test. I'm just feeling really good about myself without the rest. What you say, what you say, what you feeling? Coming back home slowly. What you say, what you say, what you feeling? So baby, let me know how I lost control.
So, I mean, this doesn't really have a lot to do with mastering, but having the vocals peek through is just going to resonate with listeners more. That's in any track, the vocals are generally going to be the most important element for the listener. That's like what people remember more than anything is the vocal line, and like 9 out of 10 times. So we're just going to boost all the vocals a little bit along with the kick. The synths are, all this is good. We can maybe boost the snare a little bit, and that should be pretty solid levels. Like we didn't even really have to go into, we just pretty much mixed straight from the groups, but it's all about just getting the levels to hit right. Now, so that basically takes care of our dynamics on this end. Now what we really want to check for, though, is basically the stereo field. And this is, we were talking about in the previous video, we really unpacked the issue a lot in the previous video, and we want to handle it before going to mastering when possible. So we're going to listen here and basically just see how the master sounds through the stereo field.
But you still run away, break hearts, save the day, restart. Feel the way so dark, can't you see what's going on? You just lie so long, can't deny you're wrong. Feeling I all gone, I just wanna go alone. I'm just trying to prove that I'm the best. I don't do it for the money, for the cause, or for the check. I got way too many people trying to put me through the test. I'm just feeling really good about myself without the rest. What you say, what you say, what you feeling? Coming back home slowly. What you say, what you say, what you feeling? So baby, let me know how I lost control.
Okay, so we have a fair bit of anti-phase here. I'm thinking that we should actually lower some of the clipping going on here. I like the sound of it a bit, but it's it's a bit of extra harmonic content that is kind of making it a little bit harder to get a clear signal coming through for mastering. So we're going to lower all this down a little bit, and then and we'll boost the actual synth group just to kind of clean up the signal a bit, because we have a lot of space to work with here, and then we basically just have to use our ears to figure out where it should sit.
But you still run away, break hearts, save the day, restart. Be the way so dark, can't you see what's going on? You just lie so long, can't deny you're wrong. Feeling I all gone, I just wanna go alone. I'm just trying to prove that I'm the best. I don't do it for the money, for the cause, or for the checks. I got way too many people trying to put me through the test. I'm just feeling really good about myself without the rest. What you say, what you say, what you feeling? Coming back home slowly. What you say, what you say, what you feeling? So baby, let me know how I lost control.
Okay, so just to reiterate, what we're doing here essentially is getting rid of as much of this antiphase as possible without affecting the signal in a really negative way. So basically, we're going to go through these synths, I think, are the kind of most critical element to do this with. And then on the vocals, we're going to actually do a little bit more with the vocal mix. And it should only take really a few minutes, but we're just kind of going to go straight through it. So the bass, I think, is probably hitting normal. We're just going to pull this position analyzer to each track and address any major issues as we go along. So let's get like right into the middle of the song where it's going to be most relevant. Okay, so Ableton just crashed there, but we're back. So basically, we're going to go through each track and listen to see where this is. The bass shouldn't have any issues, but we're just going to check real quick. Okay, so that's hitting right in the center, so we're going to move right on to the next synth track, drag the plugin over, high pluck. Alright, so this is a big offender. So first thing we're going to do is pull in a utility plugin, and this is very helpful. It lets us basically force the signal into mono, and then I use a plugin called PS22 for this like 9 out of 10 times, but that being said, there's a ton of plugins that can do this whole process that are free. So, any sort of MS processing plugin will be very helpful, mid-side processing. But this PS22 spread stereo, I like it a lot, and you'll see that basically cleans it up with just a couple movements. So we're gonna go to this mono track enhancer. And it sits way nicer in the stereo field. It adds more space to the mix. So now we're going to move on to the next track. This lead should probably hit near the middle. We'll move the low pluck onto the right when we get to it. Another big offender. So utility, we're going into mono. And again, what we're doing is basically just getting rid of this so that everything sits in this pizza slice, which is really our stereo field. Anything in here is going to, anything that's antiphasing is basically just wasting space in the harmonic range because it sends opposite frequencies against each other, which cancel them out. So it like takes up space in the actual physics of the mix, but it is really just wasting space in terms of, like how much space you actually have to work with. It's audio, but it's like counterproductive to have it in the mix. So we're going through and canceling out the antiphase. This cleans up the mix. The top mastering engineers tend to do this, so it's we're gonna go with this ambient diffuser here. Should really give us a wide sound on this lead. And so you see, like, there's a lot of different kinds of shapes that we can get out of this, and that's really what we're going for. We're looking to just kind of add a little bit of complexity to the stereo field, as well as clean up what's going on and really shape it. This is a pretty advanced mixing technique, but it makes a big difference if you're really going for that pop sound, especially on a track like this. Like, if you're making trap, sometimes that like phasing and stuff can be good. For you know, that crisp pop sound, I think we're really looking more for this this kind of defined, really intentionally crafted sound. So we're gonna go right on this one, pan a little bit right, boost it, and that should widen up against the high pluck. So, you know, the low pluck is panned a little bit right, the high pluck is panned a little bit left, and it sounds wider. And like you see, we're getting a little bit of clipping, but that's actually okay. You know, like the bigger problem is like the clipping on the master fader, where we're trying to really handle the dynamics, but like within the mix, it actually sounds nice, you know, getting that bit of distortion. And that's also kind of Torix's sound too, is very much defined by hard clipping and redlining, so we want to retain that original distortion. Okay, the sub is hitting right in the middle. I think we could actually widen this a bit, so we're going to use Tau Chorus is one of my favorite plugins because it really lets us do the stereo shaping right from the track instead of just being a standard chorus effect. This is a free plugin, one of my favorite free plugins. Like, you know, really powerful little box here. So, you know, we're gonna lower the stereo width down so it's not just like going all across the stereo field. Yeah, now that sub is hitting really nice. The sub is audible, subtle but audible. And now we're going to move on to the sub 2, probably similar technique here. Let me make sure they're not stacked because that could create phasing issues. Okay, yep, so I think we can even copy down the same preset for the chorus here, and then let's just look at how that's hitting. Should be pretty solid. The super saws, we want to be careful with these because this is really the core sound of the track. I think we might even want to saturate them a bit. I'll pull on the classic saturation plugin, Camel Crusher. This is legendary, free. You got to look for it on the internet, but it's out there and it's free. It's old. This is an ancient plugin with an awesome sound. Let's try this tube warmth and go subtle on it and just see what happens. And then we're also going to look at the position analyzer here and potentially fix some stuff. So that added a little bit of warmth and helped widen it up, and I think we want to go with that same very wide effect on this. So we're going to pull out a utility, go into mono, we'll boost the volume a little bit, and we're going to again pull out PS22. That is a great plugin for this task, highly recommended. It's pretty cheap too, it's like 25 bucks, a great investment if you're really interested in sculpting the stereo of your tracks. But, you know, again, like there's other stuff that does this. Isotope ozone imager I showed in the previous video is great for this as well. So we're gonna open this up and basically just see what happens here. So ambient diffuser setting, that's the one that gets us that really wide slice. Okay, it was actually a little too loud, so yep, we did that. And now the final super saw, I think we're just going to copy all this down there pretty much, and we'll move that down to the sidechain to handle that last. And then we're going to go in on the vocal mix, which should be quite fun. I think adding like some more sort of chorus and tuning to the effect will be nice. Alright, what do we want to do with this? I'm thinking we just try PS22 straight up. It's going to leave a little bit of phasing in there, but it'll help preserve just kind of what's originally there. So this left, center, right, stereo enhance. Oh, we've got H comp on. Oh, we're on the wrong channel. And let's bypass this for a minute. So we're still getting a little bit of anti-phase out of that, but it's kind of just one layer, and a little bit of it is not going to ruin the mix, and it's just kind of tough to fix it at this stage where we just have this one sidechain and we don't really want to mess with what was originally there too much in the stereo content. So we're just going to turn it down a bit, and we're going to sidechain up here. So I was trying to sidechain with this H comp off camera, but the routing was kind of finicky. So we're just going to use the stock Ableton compressor. And sidechain to the kicks, and this will give us that nice pumping effect that you want in this style of EDM. So sidechain to the kicks, post FX, and let's give it a listen here in the drop. That's great. Now I want to saturate the kick a bit, just kind of add a bit more sort of thump to it. Camel Crusher will be good for that again, and we're going to use the preset that I know Torix uses a lot on his sounds, which is this British clean, and then we can just adjust it a little bit and make it more subtle. I kind of probably want to turn up the tube distortion a bit, and let's give it a listen. Okay, and you can see we have too much headroom here because we're still at plus 6 dB. So, like we've actually mixed it down, which is good. Usually like if you can, sometimes you have to make those additive adjustments, but when you can make those subtractive adjustments, it is usually better. So since we've done so much subtractive work on this, we've come up here. And the last thing we're going to do is just look at the filtering to make sure that our lows and stuff are hitting through. So, we were going to look at this vocal mix. So I think we just need to turn it up a little bit more. And I think we can just kind of enhance some of the great. And so that those vocals are really cutting through the mix. We actually might even want to turn them down a little bit, but the final thing that I think we really need to do here is some filtering just to clean up the low end. We're not going to go too in depth on it on this video just for the sake of time, but we'll start with the vocals. That's a pretty easy one. We don't have any low end content that really needs to be there, so I think we can pretty much just cut like straight up to about here. This is Emo F2. You can do this on like, you know, any EQ. I just use this plugin because it's simple and I like the curves of it from Waves Emo F2. You know, it's just kind of like, it does one thing very well, which is just the high pass and low pass filtering. So okay, and finally, we need to do these synths one by one, just because, you know, we've got some bass sounds, but like this high pluck definitely does not need any low end content. So we can just go straight through, cut like right up to here probably. Okay, so we actually are getting quite a bit down here. That adds a bit of that presence. So that high pluck is fairly low. Sounds nice. And oh, you know what? They're backwards. I labeled them backwards. But basic idea, you know. Whoop. It's on the wrong panel. So the reason we're basically going through and high pass filtering everything is so that way this range is really reserved for just the kick and bass. I think we might let the super saw bleed in there a bit more, just to kind of really fill up and give it that fat sound when we get to it. Those subs can keep that. So now down to the super saw. Let's see what we're doing here. So we're kind of letting this go a little bit lower just because it is kind of meant to be like that thick element that draws sounds together, even though it's not really a bass sound. And I think we can pretty much draw the same exact filter on the other super saw layer. That should work. And then the sidechain, I mean, that's a tough one just because it's comp of all the tracks. And we sidechained ourselves already, so we can actually turn this down quite a bit. And I think it's better to just free it up anyways, even though there's some subs there. So, you know, we'll leave it there as kind of a nice layer. Maybe we can even do some like kind of parallel compression stuff with it. So let's pull up an H comp here and maybe slam it a bit. So yeah, let's just kind of hit it like pretty heavy. Probably like plus 12, get some aggression out of it. And yeah, it can hit on 100, more punch, bit of attack. Not long release will be good. Yeah, this is a long release here, so this should work. Just a note, if you're sending stuff out to a mixing engineer, like adding tracks like this is really good for kind of, like this is just adding in that subtle extra layer of really heavily compressed dynamics that wouldn't be there had I not been given this sidechain track, because I ended up just re-sidechaining up here to get that pump effect with kind of the more controlled filter curves and stuff that I did here. So great stuff to, like add extra tracks like this to really give more space to work with for mixing. And I think we have a pretty solid mix here. So now we just want to check our levels before confirming that this is what we want to master with. So let's listen from the beginning. We'll listen through. I might pause at a couple spots just to mention some stuff here. So over here, we're going to pull up Ulean again, and we'll pull up, I think we just need Ulean. I mean, there's going to be some antiphase, and I guess we can pull up like a spectrum analyzer would be good too, just to kind of take a look at. Although, we're really going to be focusing a lot on the kind of some harmonic content of the whole track. It looks like we even have a bit of scooping. Seems kind of apparent here, so we can handle that. And the mastering process, EQ is a big part of that. So let's give this a listen and see how it sounds.
But you still run away, breakers.
Real quick, let's return this to 0. We want to turn everything up too.
But you still run away, breakers. Every day restart, be the way so dark. Can't you see what's going on? You just lie so long, can't deny you're wrong. Feeling I all gone, I just wanna go alone. I'm just trying to prove that I'm the best. I don't do it for the money, for the cause, or for the checks. I got way too many people trying to put me through the test. I'm just feeling really good about myself without the rest. What you say, what you say, what you feeling? Coming back home slowly. What you say, what you say, what you feeling? So baby, let me know how I lost control.
Okay, so noticeable just listening to it, and also from the spectrum analyzer here, which is good reason we pulled it up before saying we're ready to master this. Freeing up that space in the low end by filtering really makes these subs kind of hit a little too hard. So we're going to lower those a bit.
But you still run away, breakers. Every day restart, be the way so dark. Can't you see what's going on? You just lie so long, can't deny you're wrong. Feeling I all gone, I just wanna go alone. I'm just trying to prove that I'm the best. I don't do it for the money, for the cause, or for the checks. I got way too many people trying to put me through the test. I'm just feeling really good
so I just wanted to enhance those vocals a little more, kind of get a mixing. Alright, so basically, I mean, looking at the levels, I just kind of canceled a lot of them out, but if you saw it earlier, we had a nice bit of, a nice little layer of distortion and kind of clipping, harmonic content to work with, and mastering that we can enhance more to get that rich sound. And, really, I think, we're looking at like pretty basic levels. These actually got a little higher in the drop, but it's, basically, right where we want it. So, this gives us a lot of space to work with. We're going to raise the levels in mastering and get it to where each platform wants it. We'll be back next time to talk about dynamic mastering. I just want to show you, we really want this lot of headroom to work with when it comes to preparing a mix for mastering. And this gives us a lot of space to work with and really to shape the EQ curve, shape the dynamics more. But, we got that dynamic mix we wanted. We're looking at a lot of average dynamics to work with. So, that's basically just how I go about mixing a track, especially one like this that's a bit more complex. Like if I'm just making a beat, it's going to be simpler. And later in the series, we're going to talk about preparing beats, to send out to artists if that's really more what you need for your projects. But regarding this, I think this is a solid mix. It sounds a little bit like it's not finished, and that's why we need a master. That's what mastering is all about. It's getting that track to the finished stage, getting it more full, getting it more, cohesive. So we'll be back next time. We might adjust the mix a little bit more. I think we're able to mix this track with the master actually going at the same time. So that's going to be very useful in the next video. So I'll see you there. We'll be back to talk about dynamic mastering next time.